So, this is the question on the table about the school shooting. Why are we thinking that there will be any kind of gun reform by our politicians when they have never, ever shown any interest in doing it in the past? They're owned by the NRA, just like they're owned by all the other PACs out there. This is such a great example of the fact that we're wasting our time and our money on our government. They're only going to be making it harder for us to live. So why, yeah, another school shooting happened. And what happened because there was a kid who got radicalized by a white supremacist group. So if we can't rely on our politicians to regulate guns, and we can't, why don't we start um, spending our time teaching people how to live with their emotions? Why don't we start spending our time teaching people how to look at themselves and be accountable? Why don't we start teaching people about love and empathy and compassion? Because teaching people that you'll feel better if you shoot someone dead, your pain will go away, or you'll get satisfaction for your pain, is first of all a lie. Most people who have committed violence are deeply traumatized by it. Second of all, it's part of the system that's killing us. So, spending any time lamenting that our politicians aren't passing gun reform is a waste. It's like you're spending all your creativity worrying about something that's never going to happen and something you have no control over. So, why don't we focus on what we can control? We can focus on creating systems where we're raising people who are comfortable with their emotions, who are comfortable saying that they love each other, who are comfortable talking about their feelings. Because this is what happens when we think or wait for our politicians to keep us safe. They're not keeping us safe from environmental toxins. They're not keeping us safe from out of control pharmaceutical companies. They're not keeping us safe from the processed food that the government subsidizes. There's nothing about our government that keeps us safe. They're not regulating anything so that we're okay. They don't regulate the media anymore. So we're all being lied to. Both sides of this argument, Republican and Democrat, we're all telling each other, "Oh, you're being lied to." We're all being lied to. Whatever, just choose the set of lies you're believing. So the question becomes, why don't we just stop waiting for them to do the right thing? Because it doesn't matter how many petitions we sign, how many protests we go to, how many city halls we go to and yell at these people, because they're getting paid. That's why they're there. They're getting paid. And so we have to recognize the fact that they're not working for us anymore, and spending any time trying to get them to do so is wasting it. Let's spend our time with our children. Let's spend our time teaching them how to manage their emotions. Let's spend our time learning how to manage our own. Let's spend our time trying to feel comfortable with the emotion of love, trying to feel comfortable with the emotion of fear, of anger. Because that's how people get radicalized, because they feel horrible. And they think that they need to fill this hole with something from the outside, when really they just need to get to know themselves, and they need to learn how to sit with everything that's going on inside them. And they also need to understand that all emotions they're passing, they're temporary. Everything changes, everything passes. So spending our time, I understand why we do it. I understand why it's easier to focus on the external. But all of these issues will not be solved by waiting for our politicians to regulate anything. Because if the last 50 years 60 years has taught us anything, it's that they will deregulate everything in their own best interest. Corporations are best when they're not regulated. That is what they want. That is what they believe. That is why Hershey's and Nestle and M&M Mars uses child slave labor. So why are we giving them our money? Why are we waiting for them to do the right thing? They're not going to do it. It's fine to give up on them, but it's time to make a plan and act like a community and act like we give a damn about each other. That's why we're here. We're here on earth to be loving, to have the human experience of vulnerability and love with each other. I'm not here to be violent. I'm not here to kill people. I'm not here to prove that I'm more powerful than anyone else. I'm here to connect with people. I'm here to look at my pain and my suffering and overcome it or live through it and connect with other people and grow as a person. I'd much rather do that hard work than shoot somebody. I'd much rather look at my pain and sit with my trauma than go hunt someone down to get revenge about something I feel, about some wrong I feel like I've had done to me. So why don't we focus on that? That's something we can control. Our emotions, being accountable to ourselves, being accountable to others, being able to sit with our emotions. This is the work we're here to do. Why are we waiting for other people to keep us safe? We actually have that power. If you like what you've heard today, follow me, share this, like it, subscribe. It'll really help. I'd really love to get the word out about this. Thanks for listening.